there, especially if it's something online.
All right, guys. So career fairs, okay? I am personally not a big fan of career fairs just because I don't get to tailor my resume, right? But if you do your homework, and most career fairs will tell you in advance who's going to be there, you can tailor the resume to that, and you may make a really good impression on the person who's there. If you're like, hold on, Department of Defense, I've tailored this for you, hold on. And you hand them a resume with a cover letter. But very rarely do you get the chance to do that. The strategy typically at a career fair is come with a stack full of resumes, and you're like, hi, my name is Daniel, what does your job do? Oh great, that's great, here's my resume, have a great day, and you move on, right? That's not the way you want it to work. This is your chance to make a first impression. You're getting a face-to-face, chances are, with the person who's gonna make the decision to interview you. May not necessarily be the hiring manager, but they're gonna make the decision to interview and say, we really like that kid, right? You can ask the recruiter directly about the position. So at this point, you have the opportunity to ask questions about, hey, what do people struggle with in this position? What do you think the benefit of being in this position is? You know, I have a degree in XYZ, do you think I'd be a good fit for this? Right? You have those questions that you can ask. And one, I promise you now, you're gonna impress that person because no one else is doing that. Everyone there thinks it's a numbers game. It's just a matter of giving out as many resumes as they can and hoping for calls. That's a terrible way to approach career fairs. Okay, what you want to do is go in there, firm handshake, okay? No noodle handshakes, okay? And when I say that with the handshake piece, please be considerate of men and women, okay? With the man, firm handshake, almost to the point where you break some bones. With the woman, not so much, okay? I'm not trying to be sexist or anything, but I'll tell you, I was at ASU and I shook a lady's hand and I grabbed it too tightly and she's like, what the hell is your problem? I just want the job.
I just want the job.
Right, so just be cognizant of that, that your handshake should be firm, but for men oftentimes instinctively, we show respect via the handshake, right? And I'm not saying that's not women either, but for men it's, you know, who's got the stronger handshake, right? For women it's just a matter of have we made that connection? And so, be cognizant of that.
I'm going to add to that. I think the bottom line of what you just said is that you want to make the connection with both individuals,
Sure.
regardless of the sex,
Right.
through a handshake.
Yes.
And so I would think in those terms, but I think the key phrase, what you said, is that it's not a noodle handshake, but that thumb to thumb, and then after that, just, you know,
Right.
don't pull them into you. There's some examples of that.
Yeah, don't hold on too long either. Nothing's weirder than you're just like, yeah, so my name's Daniel and I'm really interested. Let the guy go, right? Let the person go. So, and I think it's also nice for the career fairs because you have a great chance to have a direct contact to follow up with, right? And so when you've applied, and do not bug your recruiter, do not contact them more than once, right? But let's say you applied for the job or you're ready to apply for the job and you just have some more questions before you apply. Hey John, we met today and I just want to say it was a great meeting that we had. I just had a couple more questions about the position, blah, 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 and chances are you're going to get a response, right? Now, once you apply for the job, do not contact your recruiter like that, okay? Let them do their thing because you will sabotage your chances of getting a job if you start bugging for the position. There's nothing worse than interviewing somebody and then them contacting you every day. Did I get the job? Hey, when am I going to know? Did I get the job? They should have given you a timeline, right? And more or less, if it doesn't fall in that timeline, chances are you're going to get the job, right? And some recruiters will give you feedback, some will not, right? Some will never call you back and you just don't know. You just have to assume you didn't get the job. Others will specifically tell you. Most larger corporations will send you an automated email that says, unfortunately, you were not, blah, 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 selected for this position. But some recruiters do call back, especially if you were a good candidate and they just happen to pick someone else who was better. They'll call you and say, hey, you were a great candidate. You know, unfortunately with someone else, but here's what you can do. We'll send you positions in the future, et cetera, et cetera. But making the contact, I think, is important because not only do you have that particular contact initially to get the job, but you have a person at that company that you connected with. And hopefully you connected with them good enough that if you do get the job, they can further be a contact. If you don't, they can still be a contact for you. Okay. And then, like I said, you can tailor your resume and cover letter if you do your research. So if you are thinking about applying for a career fair, I know ASU has a career fair. You know, there's a career fair like every month down in the Sheraton on 40th Street or something like that. Do your research on the companies that are there, right? Make sure that you have a resume for those companies that you want to apply for, and a cover letter, right? For those companies, know what position they're applying for, right? You can usually go onto their website and see what they're applying for, right? And then you can build a couple resumes based on it. Let's say they're offering 3 positions. Let's say one's a driver, one's a dispatcher, one's an operator. If you want all 3 of them, apply for all 3, right? But bring a cover letter resume for all 3 of those, right? And then when you talk to the recruiter, hey, what position are you applying for here today? Oh, we're applying for the operator job. Oh, great. I was really looking forward to that position. And then again, sort it out, give them the resume. You're gonna look really prepared. And that's what's gonna separate you from anyone else. Again, it's the little tiny things that separate you, all right? In either situation, should you get an interview, please send a thank you card, okay? Nobody does this. And the big key with thank you cards is try to remember something personal that you guys talked about during the interview and bring that back up on the thank you card, right? When I applied for my job at Chase, the manager at the time was going to school at the University of Phoenix. I sent her a thank you card and I said, hey Sophia, I just want to let you know, I really enjoyed our time yesterday for talking. Even if I don't get the position, I wish you so much success with your degree, and I look forward to hearing that you graduated. I got a call the next day, right? And so it's those little tiny things that make the difference. And you have to do those little tiny things, especially because you're already at a disadvantage with not having as much experience and other things as other people. So make sure you're doing every little thing you can to separate yourself in a good way. Okay? Yes, sir.
Would a email be sufficient, or would a letter be more?
So here's the thing, right? For some people, they prefer email. It's going to depend, because a lot of times at the end of the interview, you're going to ask for a card, and that card may have an address. If you have an address, I would send a thank you card, small little card. It just shows that you were willing to take the time. How much time does it take to make an email versus how much time does it take to go out, pick up a card, buy a stamp, send it in the mail, right? Because I want to know, if I'm hiring you, do you care about this job, right? If I hire you, you're going to be here with me a year later, 2 years down the road, right? If all I'm worth is an email to you, right, it's great. It still separates you, but it's not as impactful. It's not as impactful as a handwritten note, right? I mean, do you have a girlfriend? Your girlfriend?
No.
No. Okay, let's say you did.
Mm-hmm.
And she sends you an email, hey babe, I love you. Oh, that's cute. That's nice, right? Now, she sends you a letter in the mail, little beautiful card, handwritten, says, babe, I love you. Same note, it's the same message, right? But getting the surprise in the mail is so much more impactful than the email is. Wouldn't you agree?
That definitely
Right?
makes
So
sense.
it's the same thing with the job. You're creating a connection, right? And you're creating a connection with someone who has an impact on your future. So don't be lazy, right? All right, before I move on, any questions? Covered a lot, going kind of fast. Anybody came in late? You guys have any questions? Good? All right, so let's talk about networking. This goes for career fairs and also in networking. In my banking days, when I did networking for jobs, there were people there with resumes who were looking for jobs as well. They were trying to make networking connections. And so this works both for that kind of thing and career fairs. Make sure to grab cards. And that kind of goes back to, you want to get the address where you can send a letter. You also want to have that contact information. And my strategy was always on the card, I would write either A, B, or C on the card. A to me was the top priority person. That's someone I needed to talk to within the next 24 hours. I was going to follow up. This was my person that was important to my plan. The B person was someone who might be, I'm not really quite sure, but I still want to talk to them. And C people were people who weren't going to do me a whole lot of good, right? And so, while I will say that sometimes my C people ended up being my best networking partners, and I wasn't always the best judge, but you know, the C people don't always show up as part of the plan, right? So, if you go to a career fair unprepared, you go and maybe you didn't do any research, you're just there with a stack full of resumes, it's okay, right? Go out there, get some cards, right? And when you get that card, if you had a good connection with the recruiter, write that personal thing on the back of the card and give them a letter, either A, B, or C. When you go home, sort out your A, B's, and C's, and make sure that you're following up with your A's within 24 hours. Okay? Follow up with your B's within 48. Your C's, it's up to you on whether you want to follow up with that. Okay? time kills everything. If I can stress anything, time kills everything. So do not wait any longer than you have to, right? Because if I met you yesterday and you don't talk to me for a year, chances are I'm not going to remember what we talked about. I'm not going to remember you, right? Again, we talked about the firm handshake. Always be positive. This one I always found funny when I was networking, to go somewhere and someone complains about stuff. There's nothing worse than someone who's negative. And if you're looking for a job, I don't want to hear anything negative out of your mouth. Okay? If you go on an interview or you're networking and you dealt with 16 miles worth of traffic, you got pulled over, you got a flat tire, your whole day has been crap. I expect to hear that your day has been fantastic. Because, quite frankly, right, I want someone who's positive even in the face of adversity. Right? You're going to deal with people, and people are stupid sometimes, right? Let's be honest. How many people here have worked before? Everybody, right? Have all your coworkers been just the most amazing coworkers in the world, just the smartest people? You want these people to live in your house? No, right? How about your customers, right? So I expect you to smile, right? Your company is going to expect you to smile after getting yelled at by a customer, right? Or when you have a disagreement with your coworker, expect you to go back and do your job with a smile on your face. So if you can't come to someone you don't know and tell them you've had a great day, it's a good indicator that you're going to be drama at work, right? And again, little things, they say a lot, right? So always be positive. My day has been great, right? Someone's going to talk to you about their job, and you're going to be very passionate about it, and it is going to be the most boring job in the world, right? I stare at rocks all day long. I look for little indents in rocks, and I try to figure out why. Why are there indents in rocks? Man, that is amazing. That is, wow. How did you get into that, right? You always want to be positive, right? And so sometimes the passions aren't going to line up, but don't make people feel badly because their passion is not the same as yours, right? So always be positive. Make sure to ask more questions about the person you're talking to than how much you're talking about yourself. People love to talk about themselves, okay? I love to come here and tell you my stories, and I could go on all day. I could tell you about my college career and my life and my beautiful wife and all the fun stuff that we've done, right? But the truth is that if I do all the talking, right, I don't get anything from you, right? And so the key is ask a lot of questions. And I think, you two had an exchange, and you asked more questions about his career than you did talk about yourself, right? It's a good start, right? That's the way it works, right? And so in doing so, he feels like you're interested in his career, right? He gets to talk a little bit about himself, and you learn, and you get to absorb that, right? And you look really good in doing that. Now, if you came in here, yeah, I took this chemistry course, and man, I aced it, and I was really good at that. And, I'm going to take like 5 more chemistry courses, it'd be great, right? He'd be bored by you already. Like, okay, well, it's nice meeting you. Have a great day, right? And so when you're networking, you want to ask questions and ask them about that person and listen, right? In sales, we call it the 80-20 rule, right? You should spend 80% of your time listening and 20% of your time talking, right? Interviewing is sales. You are selling yourself, right? So in anything you do, with any interaction, you are always selling. Everyone here seen The Boiler Room?
Boiler Room?
Boiler Room? No? You seen that movie?
Oh, that's a movie? Oh.
Okay, well, there's a part of the movie where he says every interaction is a sales interaction, right? Either you're selling the customer on why they should buy, or they're selling you on why they shouldn't, right? And so the same thing here, right? You're selling someone on why they should hire you, or they're selling you on why they shouldn't. All right? And then, like I said, make sure you follow up within 24 hours.
Is that a movie? The
Boiler
Boy?
Room? Yes.
I want to watch it.
Ben Affleck,
Oh.
Giovanni Ribisi, Vin Diesel. It's a good movie. All right, guys, so I've talked about a lot, right? So, questions, concerns, anybody need a potty break? All right, go ahead. Let's go take 5.
Okay, yeah.
5 guys, get some water.
First, take 5. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
For those of you that are just joining us, thank you so much for being here. Can we just go around the room real quickly and just?
I'm gonna bring it back.
Exactly.
So hopefully you got everything you needed. And so we'll talk a little bit about resumes, okay? And so the standard idea of a resume is no more than one page. And for most of you, that will be what you use. As you get a little more experience, later in life you may go to 2. Very rarely do you need to go to 3 pages. Okay, so this slide, I think kind of outlines it. Your one-page resume needs to be focused, concise, it shouldn't be complicated, right? It avoids the risk the extra pages could get detached or lost, right? And it's the most commonly used by entry to mid-level professionals, right? I see a lot of people who put resumes that with their hobbies and things that are not related to the job. So as a hiring person, I don't care if you like to play soccer, unless I'm hiring for someone who plays soccer, right? So, be smart about what you put in your resume. Okay? And I like to call the resume prime real estate, right? Things that go on the resume need to be there, right? If you're adding the extra fluff, you're doing yourself a disservice. Again, recruiter has to read those things if you get selected through the sifting system. So once I read it and it says, oh, was the best pie baking master at my last job, but my last job wasn't baking pies, right? Nobody cares, right? So don't fluff it up too much. You want to have one page. Now, as you get more experience, Chris, I imagine that if you were applying for another job now, you have a wealth of experience. Your resume's probably going to be at the 2-page mark, right? Fair statement.
Fair statement.
So 5.
My 5.
Yeah. So when you get a wealth of experience, or if you've had a couple roles in there. So I've had a couple fancy schmancy titles. I have 2 pages on mine, right? But even then, I could probably clean it up. The reason it's 2 is because it really needs like 1.5, right? And so I've fluffed it up a little bit just to not have the white spaces. But really, I recommend not having any white space. At the same time, don't overfluff it, right? If you get to the 3-page, this is going to be someone who maybe is more in the educational field, right? So if you get to the point where you've got a doctorate and you want to talk about some of your research and things like that, here's 3 pages. But really, at your guys' level, you're probably looking at 1, right? Only go back really the last 5, maybe 7 years, depending on your experience, right? So at this point in my career, I don't think anyone cares that I worked at Peter Piper when I was 16 years old, right? So now, if I was a supervisor there or something like that, that may be relevant, but at this point, I do not include that in my resume, right? And then when you get to that point of tailoring it, you're going to want to change the way things work in there. So tailor your resume.
Before you go on, I want to add something I thought was kind of funny. Your comment about 3-page resumes for academics, there's a term that's called a CV or body of work, is really what it is for academics or people who are professors and stuff like that. They list out not only what the job experiences are, but more importantly, what they've written and the articles they've written and the books and the things like that over the course of their career. I think the record I've seen now is something like a 70-page CV. So needless to say, we can get, yeah, exactly. Corporate world, who cares? Yeah, that doesn't do it. But for academics, that's important. It can be important.
Could imagine being one of those.
Micah is at about 40.
Really? Wow.
I mean, like, she tracks down everything. If she gives a workshop, if she coaches a class, like,
Yeah.
it's on that CV. It's like 40.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just like, and on Monday I eat steak and eggs.
Well, no. They're all professional. They're all related to her profession, but in terms of academics and really getting full professorship and tenured and all that, I mean, she has to be that diligent.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right, so tailoring your resume. Highlighted this. The answer is usually in the description, right? We talked about this. The job posting usually has the answer. So when you tailor it, you're going to tailor it around the job description. Utilize the job description for keywords. All right? Action-oriented bullets. Okay? If you put customer service, let's say online, you're doing yourself a disservice. Okay? What you want to say is increase customer service scores XYZ%, right? Utilized key retailing method to minimize customer service complaints, right? Something that shows what you did, right? I don't want to know your job duties, I want to know what you did. And I want to know how you did that better than anyone else, or how you made that company better, right? Because at the end of the day, what is a company? It's a place that makes money, right? And I want you to help me make money, or make my customers happy, which is in turn going to make me money, right? So when I look at your resume and I read those action-oriented bullets, how are you going to help me make money? Whether that's you're great at designing things, right? You're great at minimizing, managing, things that are going to help my business run more efficiently, and in the grand scheme of things, help me either save or make money, right? So your resume should be action-oriented. Should just list your duties, right? And if you're having trouble with that, think about a time that you had to do that thing, right? I had to provide customer service, right? I developed a new method to solve customer issues, something to that effect. Again, be honest, right? Because they're going to ask you in the interview when they read that, right? Oh, you developed a new method to solve customer complaints. What was that? I listened, right? You want to make sure that you have something, but it should be action-oriented. Don't use we, I, they, or you, okay? It should be very general in the sense of did this, but you don't want to say I did this, or we did this, or you did this. Those kinds of pronouns look very unprofessional on the resume. Yes, sir.
An example of that is what you just said about I developed a system to improve customer service. Literally, instead of just saying I,
Just take
bullet point, developed a system of improving customer service, coordinated, implemented.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Spelling, spelling, spelling. Okay? Use your spell check, double check, make sure that you use the right there, okay, the right your. If you do use your, don't use your, but if you do, make sure it's the right one, right? Again, you're applying for a job, and when you're applying for a job, the idea is, this is the very best I'm gonna get from someone. And if you can't spell, it only gets worse, right? So please, for the love of God, check your spelling, please, okay? Formatting, please make it easy to read. Okay, there's nothing harder than getting a resume that is all over the place, it's not centered, the bullets aren't formatted properly, or they use different bullets. There are a lot of templates that you can steal off of Microsoft Word, right? Use them, follow the formatting, and look at that thing and say, if I was gonna hire myself, would that thing be easy to read? Right? Did I make it easy for the recruiter to pick me? Right? Tailor to the job, don't cookie cutter your resume. Okay? So, for example, okay, I'm a sales professional. I do sales mostly. I've applied for a manager role. So now, instead of it saying increase sales X%, I talk about some of the other things I've done. Developed contests for teams, created a training manual, right? No longer am I talking about the sales experience now. Now I'm talking about what I've done for the team and how I'm increasing the team, right? Because that's what managing is about. Managing is about doing for the team, not doing for yourself. Sales is about producing for yourself, right? So you're going to change that resume for the position you're applying for, okay? Again, we talked about utilizing the cover letter. The cover letter should be different from the resume. So what you don't want on a resume is for the cover letter and the resume to be the same thing, right? If I go to your cover letter and it's got 3 bullet points that are exactly the same on your resume, you haven't told me anything different. You wasted my time, right? So what I talked about on my resume, or my cover letter, excuse me, when I applied for the manager role was utilizing my degree in economics, I've developed a way to manipulate incentive. Now that's not on my resume, right? And some of the things that I have done are coached, several agents improve their scorecard by XYZ%. I've worked with my management team to work on focus groups for innovative new products, and then I don't remember what the other thing was, but I have another thing on it, right? And so those things are not on my resume. Okay, now I have other coaching things on there, but you want to save some of those bullets for the cover letter, right? Especially a lot, but you want to be different, so when the HR person reads that and says, wow, this person understands manipulating incentive, which is important when you're trying to motivate a team, right? And look, here's some examples of how they've done that. Let's talk to this person. Okay. A resume is for getting an interview. It's not for getting a job. Okay, that may not make a whole lot of sense, but the resume's job is to get an interview. And I think about it like bait. Okay? Anybody here been fishing?
Yes.
Okay, we're all familiar with how fishing works though, right?
Yeah.
All right, you cast your line in and it's got bait on the end of the hook. The bait is used to attract the fish, but it's you who pulls in the fish. Okay? Everyone got that?
Mhm.
Understand the metaphor here? Your resume is the bait, right? The cover letter is the bobber, the sinker, depending on the type of fish you're going to catch. It's the extra, right? That makes the difference in catching the fish. The resume is the bait. And when it comes down to it, you're the one who's got to reel it in, right? You've got to pull the string. Sometimes that fish is going to get away. And whether that's a matter of the bait not being good enough, the hook not being good enough, or whatever, I don't know. Maybe it's your own arm, right? It might be the interview. But the bait's not good enough, you're never going to catch the fish in the first place. You're never going to get them on the hook. So, something to think about. The resume is not going to land you the job. You may have the best resume in the world. It does not guarantee you're going to get a job. That's the interview's job. Okay. Any questions on this? It's kind of general, and we have some time afterwards. We'll talk. In case you can ask me particulars about your resume, but from a general standpoint, any questions?
I was gonna ask, what would you tell students who basically don't have a work career that are coming straight out of college? What sort of bullet points should they address?
On the resume or the cover letter?
Resume.
Resume. I would talk about projects you've done. Any community service, I know most of you are required to do community service, so that should be on there, right? And then anything that you've done that is remotely related to that position. So, you know, you work at Panda Express, right? So, you know, you're doing customer service, right? Probably processing orders. You can make that something that makes sense, right? Depending on what you're trying to do. And if you're taking the initiative to try new things, to make new things work at Panda Express, you can talk about some of those things and how they're transferable to an engineering career. Well, you know what, I've tried new methods on trying to get the line move faster. I noticed that, you know, during lunch, there's a huge line, right? It's out the door. And what I've done is we kept track of what people ordered. And so we made sure that we had more string bean chicken between 12 and 1, right? I know that because my wife loves that it's out. So, you know, if you've done things like that, and maybe even if you just talk to your manager about those things, hey, you know what if we did more of this during this time? I've noticed from this time to this time, and I've actually tracked it. And you know what? Monday through Friday from 12 to 2, we run out of this stuff. And the line gets backed up and people want this. What if we were to change that and do more of this so the lines don't get backed up? And what if we had a second cashier? Whatever it is that's going to solve the problem, right? Make sure that you are looking at every little thing you're doing in your current role, whatever that is. Because you may not think that working at Panda Express has anything to do with engineering, right? But when it comes down to it, a lot of the skills are transferable, which is why our culture makes you get those startup jobs, right? Those jobs that teach you basic skills. Because they do transfer, and then you build on them, right? They teach you to show up to work. They teach you to pass a drug test. They teach, right? They teach you how to deal with people, right? They teach you how to get along with your coworkers, how to be managed, right? So a lot of those things are transferable. And in this point in your life, if you think the college degree is going to do everything for you, you're wrong, right? It's up to you to take that initiative, and you should be doing that at work already. Because one, your job could be better. I don't care what you do, your job could be better. And you can make that happen, right? You just have to take the initiative to come up with an idea and have someone hear you out on it. And even if they don't like it, right? You have the idea, and that's something you can talk about. I always like to say that the cool part about interviewing or getting a job is that when the recruiter talks to your current employer really can't tell them a whole lot of whether or not you're rehirable, right? I'm not saying to lie. I mean that, don't lie, because you're going to get caught. But if you came up with a great idea and your manager just didn't listen to you, you can still say you did it, because you did, right? Now, if you didn't talk to your manager, okay, don't use that, because there is a process in talking to someone higher up, getting their approval on things, right, and rolling with an idea. And when you get put in that situation in your new role and you don't know what you're doing, I'm not going to believe you get caught and look stupid. Right? And I like to think of it like trust, right? Trust is like aluminum foil, right? Take a piece of aluminum foil, it's clean, it's straight, wrinkle it up. You can never make it straight again. It's always going to have those dents. So That's why you don't want to lie in your resume. Can you get away with it? Sure, a lot of times you can. But when you get put in that role, you're going to mess up your trust, and that's going to mess you up moving somewhere else. You don't have a whole lot in this life but your credibility when you're working, right? And it's kind of like your credit. You can pay your bills all the time. You make one mistake, your credit score goes down, right? It's really hard to bounce back from that. So, but if you're coming up with ideas and you've got some solid things that you've done that are different, put those things on your resume. Talk about some of the things you've done. Hopefully that inspires you to do something different or to make your life easier. All right, so your interviews, do's and don'ts. Okay, please dress professional. Okay, gentlemen, comes down to your shirt, white shirt. Okay, no colored shirts. Make sure your undershirt is also white. Okay, belt should match your shoes. Tie, right? Preferably fitting. I know a lot of people like to have the slim, you know, especially if you got a little belly like I do. Don't wear slim, right? You know, make sure that they're tailored, that they go up to your ankle. You don't want them too baggy, too short. Ladies, make sure your skirt, if you're going to wear a skirt, is about mean length. Could be a little lower, but not too much higher, right? Make sure that you're not showing any of the goodies, right? If you wear dress pants, a lot of women like to wear the slacks. That's fine too. But make sure they are also tailored at the cuff. Don't really want them much lower than the ankle, because what happens, they look baggy, right? And look kind of funny. Make sure you're ironed and pressed. Okay? Again, the interview is the best I'm going to get from you, right? So smell good, right? Look good. Don't overdo it on the perfume though. Okay? Arrive 10 to 15 minutes early. Arrive early expecting that you're not going to get the interview until 10 minutes after your time. I have not been on a single interview to date that has started on time. Okay? But you getting there early looks good on you, right? When that receptionist calls the HR person and says, hey, you know what, Daniel's here, right? The recruiter says, oh, I'm supposed to be here at 10, it's 9:50, oh, that's awesome, right? They won't come out and see me until 10:10, right? Expect that, all right? Have a firm handshake, we talked a little bit about that, right? Prepare for interview questions, and so know those interview questions. You can go online and find interview questions related to the role. Okay, I can't specifically help you in that aspect just because it depends on what you're applying for. Your questions for a customer service or salesperson is going to be different than someone who designs things, an architect, an engineer. They're going to be different from a manager's perspective, right? Technical recruiter, all those things are going to be different. So do your research. Know what to expect. Yes, sir?
Should you be using that 80-20 rule with the asking questions? Should you be asking more questions, or?
We'll talk a little bit about the flow of the interview.
Okay.
The 80-20 rule is more for networking
Okay.
than actual sales, but in the interview, there's usually a format.
All right.
So we'll talk about that in just a second.
All right.
So do your preparations for the interview in advance, right? Do research on the company.